In what came as a rude shock to Nigerians when the spokesperson of President Muhammadubuhari, Femi Adesina, confirmed the death of Abba Kyari, the Chief of Staff to the President, on the morning of Saturday, the 18th of March 2020, in a statement which reads, "The Presidency regrets to announce the passage of the Chief of Staff to the President, Malam Abba Kyari. The deceased had tested positive for the ravaging COVID-19 and had been receiving treatment, but he died on Friday, April 17, 2020. May God accept his soul. Funeral arrangement will be announced shortly." The Presidency did not deny the report that the Chief of Staff, Kyari, was secretly flown out of the country for treatment after he had tested positive of the coronavirus, and records have it that he also had some serious underlying medical conditions. It is considered that Kyari was an influential figure within the Buhari's administration. During the administration's first term, he worked mainly behind the scenes to implement the president's agenda. Things began to take a different twist after President Buhari was re-elected for a second term. Buhari ordered his cabinet to channel all requests through Kyari's office, which further enhanced his influence within government circles and being labeled as the de facto head of government. The then head of civil service, Mrs. Winifred Oyoita, was seen in a heated argument with Abba Kyari, following a leaked memo in 2017 from Oyoita to Kyari, warning on the implications of reinstating the embattled former pension boss, Abdulrasheed Maina, into the civil service. This did not go down well with President Buhari's right-hand man, as Oyoita was subsequently immersed in a corruption scandal, was later removed from office and arrested. Similarly, in another leaked memo published by Roots TV Nigeria, the National Security Advisor, Babagana Monguno, accused Kyari of meddling into the matter of national security. In a memo dated 9th of December 2019 with a reference number NSA/SH/600/A, Monguno decried what he described as unwarranted meddlesomeness of the Chief of Staff to the President to security matters. The NSA's memo was in response to the presidential directive to the police to sustain internal security because of the upsurge in insecurity in the country. However, Monguno claimed in his response that the contents of the letters were at variance with the verbal directive given by President Muhammadubuhari. These also metamorphosed into the rift between Monguno and the Chief of Army Staff, Tukur Yusuf Buratai. Reports had also suggested that the crisis between the two top security chiefs got heightened when the army chief allegedly removed senior army officials from the office of the NSA without sending replacements. The NSA, who has not been formally reinstated, just like any other political appointees of the president by President Muhammadubuhari since he assumed office for the second term, is also reported to be at loggerheads with other security chiefs. Buhari and his service chief would routinely hold security meetings weekly with the National Security Advisor in attendance, but the 24th of February 2020, Babagana Monguno was absent. A cross-section of Nigerians assumed that Monguno was being punished by Abba Kyari. The personal assistant to President Buhari on new media, Bashir Ahmed, explained in a tweet, which reads in quotes, "NSA was initially not part of the meeting," end of quotes. The tradition, however, is that the National Security Advisor and the Defense Minister were always in attendance whenever the President was meeting with service chiefs. When news broke that Abba Kyari had contracted the novel coronavirus, reports in the media suggested that the post of Zahra Buhari Ndimi, the daughter of President Buhari, shared a post about karma, as after her father tested negative for coronavirus, while his right-hand man tested positive for the virus. In a post shared on her Insta stories, Zahra wrote, "Earth is cleaning itself and its inhabitants. Karma is the most patient gangster ever. The death of the Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari, is said to have rattled the presidency, as many have started asking how the president will function without the man many considered as the de facto president behind the throne. Recall that the president has been severely challenged with ill health in the last few years, at some point spent close to 6 months in a London hospital. Abba Kyari was the one who has covered the president's illness and shielded him from the prying eyes of the public. Roots TV Nigeria also gathered that the same Kyari managed to package the not-so-strong president to go through the rigors of the last election. He ruled with an iron fist and brooked no opposition, as many would easily testify. Immediately after the president was sworn in for a second term, he directed all his ministers to report directly to Abba Kyari, an action most Nigerians found disturbing. It is rumored that the president's frail health has made it increasingly difficult for him to attend to matters of state. Therefore, the late Abba Kyari deputized for him. Now, the question on the minds of many is, who will cover the nakedness of the president in a critical time like this? The spokesperson of the opposition coalition CPP, Ikenga Imo Gochinyere, in a statement said in quotes, "The CPP weeps as this is an irreparable loss to the president and capable of affecting him in the delivery of dividends of democracy to Nigerians. We pray for the repose of his soul and also that God Almighty grant the president the fortitude to bear the loss." End of quotes. Condolences have continued to pour in after the president's chief of staff, Abba Kyari, was confirmed dead. The chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Prince Uche Secondus, was one of the earliest persons to condole with the family of the late Chief of Staff to President Muhammadubuhari in a message obtained by Roots TV Nigeria. The former senator representing Kogi West, Dino Belaye, also condoled with the president and Kyari's family. Melaye, in a statement, also emphasized that death is a circle everyone must complete. The message reads in quotes, "My condolences to Mr. President and the family of Mr. Abba Kyari. May his soul rest in peace, and may God grant his loved ones the fortitude to bear this loss. This is a circle we must all complete someday. We need to be prepared and live just. That hour and time knoweth no man, shows no one is above death or God. What will death find you doing when it comes to visit you? Your character becomes your beauty. May we all be at peace with God when our time is up." End of quotes. The governor of Imo State, distinguished Senator Hope Uzodinma, has mourned the death of Alhaji Abba Kyari. The governor described Kyari as a hard-working gentleman who was so passionate about his work. He said Imo will immortalize him. In the statement, which reads in quotes, Governor Uzodinma assured that Imo people will immortalize the late Kyari over the pivotal role he played in the emergence of the shared prosperity government in Imo State. The governor, on behalf of the people of Imo State, commiserate with the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, General Muhammadubuhari, and other members of staff of the presidency on this sad development. He prayed God to give Nigerians the fortitude to bear the irreparable loss. Other prominent Nigerians like Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki, Kingsley Moghalu, and Festus Keyamo also used their various social media platforms to condole with the family of the late Chief of Staff. The late Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari, hails from Kenuri tribe in Borno State. He was born into a royal family in November 1938. In 1980, he graduated with a bachelor's degree in sociology from the University of Warwick and also received a bachelor's degree in law from the University of Cambridge. In 1983, he was called to the Nigerian bar after attending the Nigerian Law School. In 1984, he obtained a master's degree in law from the University of Cambridge. He later attended the International Institute for Management Development in Lausanne, Switzerland, and participated in the Program for Management Development at the Harvard Business School in 1992 and 1994, respectively. Kyari was married to the sister-in-law of Ibrahim Tahir and had 4 children. Kyari worked for the law firm Fani Kayode and Sowemimo for some time after he returned to Nigeria. From 1988 to 1990, he was editor with the New Africa Holdings Limited, Kaduna. In 1990, he served as the Commissioner for Forestry and Animal Resources in Borno State. From 1990 to 1995, Kyari was the secretary to the board of African International Bank Limited, a subsidiary of Bank of Credit and Commercial International. Kyari was an executive director in charge of management services at the United Bank for Africa and was later appointed the chief executive officer. In 2002, he was appointed a board of director of Unilever Nigeria and later served on the board of ExxonMobil Nigeria. In August 2015, Kyari was appointed Chief of Staff to President Muhammadubuhari. Kyari was an influential figure within the Buhari administration. During the administration's first term, he worked mainly behind the scene to implement the president's agenda. In 2019, with Buhari's re-election for a second term, he ordered his cabinet to channel all requests through Kyari's office, further enhancing his influence within government circles. After being labeled as the de facto head of government, Kyari received national honor in Nigeria as the Officer of the Order of the Niger, OON. Many will recall that 4 years ago, when the wife of the president, Aisha Buhari, expressed her displeasure with the appointment made by her husband. Aisha Buhari said the president does not know most of the top officials he had appointed. Nonetheless, Aisha Buhari never mentioned Kyari's name to be the one disrupting her husband's administration. The First Lady's alliance with Madam Kyari was further strengthened when her office organized a special prayer session for the nation at the State House, attended by the late Kyari and top government functionaries. Madam Kyari's body has been laid to rest at Gudu Cemetery in Abuja. May the soul of the late Chief of Staff to President Buhari rest in peace.